What is that guy doing? Oh, what's with the nudity? Why is this so lewd? Generic Control and the DBcember. We're back with some more DBcember. Today we are continuing on with the top 12 sagas of Dragon Ball. Today we will be watching the 9th, 8th, and 7th best saga according to Team 4-Star. You want to check my reaction to the very beginning, the intro video, 12, 11, and 10. I'll leave it right up there. Also, link down below in the description. Also be a playlist on my channel with all the other DBcember videos. Go in chronological order if you want to check those out. But I'm excited to see what this is. I haven't seen anything outside of Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which I'm going to try my best for Kirby Dragon Ball Z Abridged. And that's probably going to start around July. As soon as we get caught up with the SAO Abridged, it's going to be a fantastic time. I'm so looking forward to it. My friends that I've also seen, like her co-workers as well, are coming up to me like, "You're a legend." I'm like, "What did I do?" Like, for getting her to watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I'm like, thanks, but I didn't do it. You all did it. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to the patrons. They get the videos a day early and allow them to not have a paywall channel because I'm completely against paywalls. Literally $3 a month gets you all of my reaction videos a day early. That's like 60 to 80 videos a month for $3. You get them a day before they go public. That's it. The prices stayed the same. Uploads have gone crazy. But I actually have to live stream and beat Bioshock here in 25 minutes. So hopefully this is not a super long video. But let's go ahead and jump on into it. The perfectly cut.
Hey, Laddie, did you know
the Boo Saga? Okay.
Boo would be with 2 O's?
Really? Because of the whole bibbity bobbity boo reference?
Yep, but they went with the Japanese
a
Romaji
reference.
spelling because they probably didn't want to risk Disney giving them a hard time.
They probably also
hard
wanted to
time.
make Boo more easily searchable online, and also not sound like a ghost from Super Mario Brothers.
Now that we've got our hashtag
Don't you mean
dragon
Luigi's
facts out of
Mansion?
the way, the Boo Saga is weird.
I
Frustrating.
wish
A
they
bit of
did
a
the Boo
mess.
Saga.
It's a saga chock full
I mean, I
of
understand
memorable
why they
moments,
didn't,
but equally chock full
Why was he
of
naked?
dubious decisions and disheartening disappointments. The final saga of the original manga is the longest in terms of chapters, second longest in terms of overall pages, and maybe the most vexing on the list.
I've talked at
Oh?
length about the shortcomings of the Boo Saga in my video Majin Buu, the Mishandled Mess. In
Y'all
that
want me to
video,
react
I
to
mentioned
totally
that a
marked-
community poll
totally not
ranked
marked
this
videos.
saga as the worst of Dragon Ball Z. And though that doesn't have
Really?
anything to do with how we ranked this saga here, the consensus is telling.
People generally recognize the issues with Boo. It has trouble getting started, it's overly long, so much of it does not progress the plot, its main antagonist is memorable but inconsistent, and it mishandles
he's
some
gum.
major characters.
It takes the story approximately 40% of its overall length just to establish its key players and major conflict. And throughout
Yeah,
that
it's a bit
conflict,
long.
the story introduces Fusion, Super Saiyan 3, and Ultimate Gohan.
The eyebrows,
but
I
instead
can't
of serving
unsee
the
it.
narrative, there are flourishes that bloat it, slowing the actual progress of the story down.
And that's not to speak of what it does to Gohan's role in the narrative. At the end of the Cell games, we see the torch passed from Goku to Gohan in one of the most
But it doesn't
thrilling
really matter.
climaxes in all of Dragon Ball. And
Now,
Goku
recently we
makes
watched
the
that on the
choice to
plane.
leave the role of Earth's protector to him, and arguably the role of the main character. It's a huge moment, and while some might argue that the journey there was flawed, the outcome was decisive.
But once Boo rears his pink-ass head, Toriyama seemingly reneges on this decision. And let me make this abundantly
Yeah.
clear. This isn't about us wanting Gohan to specifically remain a fighter. And to
How much
slavishly
later
dedicate
did the
himself
Boo
to
Saga
training in
happen?
combat like his father did. Honestly, I love the idea of him
Like,
just
what was it, like,
being a
5 or
family
6
man
years later?
and doing the same man stuff on the weekends. It's cute, it's fun, and it fits the character.
But so much time is spent building up Gohan as the main character, even going several chapters without Goku at all in the Saiyaman arc, only for him to be firmly pushed back into the supporting role the moment Goku arrives back on the scene. And the amount of time dedicated
I mean,
to his
everybody loves
unearned
Goku, I
power-up
guess.
is even more insulting, as Gohan proceeds to lose regardless, completing his transition.
And though there's a lot to talk about with Majin
Gets
Vegeta
absorbed.
and how much of a fan favorite he's become, we had barely gotten any time with Vegeta as a quote-unquote good guy before he was back to murdering innocent people, which
Yeah,
makes
that
the
was the
betrayal
entire
feel just
section.
a little bit rushed and hollow. And despite his rematch with Goku having some emotionally effective moments, the actual quality of the fight is
So why is it
a bit
number
of a
9?
letdown.
But there's something worth bringing up here, more than maybe anywhere else on this list. The difference between the quality of the writing and how the series actually made you feel while these moments happened. Because while its issues regarding the writing are widely debated, there's no denying that the Boo Saga delivered some of the most memorable scenes, creative decisions, and unique techniques in the franchise, which have stuck with
we hear
fans
about it a lot.
years after the
It's in
manga
DBcember a
finished.
lot.
Fusion never decisively wins a single fight in all of Dragon Ball, with the exception of the movies. Vegito does manage to save his friends and family, but his existence still genuinely feels more like Shueisha wanted new merch and Toriyama was trying to keep things fresh. But damn it,
Why
who
they
doesn't
need
love
it?
Vegito? Or Gogeta? Hell, Goten and Trunks aren't even characters all on their own, and Gotenks is probably the worst example of Fusion not accomplishing anything of value, but he is a f***ing gas. And Vegito's brutal, almost surgical deconstruction of Boo is one of the best beatdowns in a series of...
Is that how they kill Boo?
Hey guys, does this have to be the last one?
Top 12
or-
beatdowns?
Despite Super Saiyan 3 ultimately
That would be an
being
interesting
unearned and
DBcember.
visually
The eyebrows,
polarizing,
I
its
can't-
design is undoubtedly iconic, and that
They're still not
transformation
there.
is unforgettable. Super Saiyan 3 is a staple of the franchise now, and Gohan's ultimate design and his brief moment to shine are still beloved, regardless of him handing back the mantle to Goku. And though I'm not a huge
I don't know who
personal
that
fan
is.
of the Saiyan Man arc myself, that brief stint where we get
Saiyan
to see
Man?
Gohan living his life as a superhero and getting to know and fall for Videl
Oh!
are precious to a sizable amount of the fan base.
So
And
that's
Goku's lack of
Gohan
consistent
being a
form makes him hard to
superhero, like
establish
Clark
a
Kent.
firm
Got
and
it.
lasting connection throughout the plot. His amorphous nature also provides a wide variety of fascinating, unique personalities, all of which manage to leave a lasting impact in different ways. From Fat Boo's
Did he just
deadly
explode that
innocence to
person?
Super Boo's unhinged malice to Kid Boo's chaotic insanity, what he
I love
lacks in
Kid Boo.
depth, he
I like
makes
the
up in
design.
variety. And Mr. Satan's relationship with Boo is surprisingly the emotional core of the entire saga, advancing both of their characters
some
in
reason.
significant ways that end up paying off big in the climax.
And man, despite the Majin Vegeta vs. Goku fight not quite being the sequel their Saiyan Saga clash deserved, the development Vegeta's descent provides him is a lot of fun to follow, even with its narrative issues. Between it being an intriguing character study and a tragic backslide for this listless ex-murderer, we find a lot to glom onto here. And the climax?
Ex-murderer.
The final explosion is iconic, and one of the most emotionally devastating moments in all of
neither
Dragon Ball.
punching or staking?
It's the culmination
Oh.
of Vegeta's countless sins.
I hate
and
that.
could
I hate it
never
when
be
something
replicated in
crazy
Dragon
epic
Ball
happens
again.
and then it doesn't
I
stick.
said...
And watching Vegeta finally admit Goku is #1, Satan pull out a massive W to save the entire universe, and Goku and the gang
Satan?
collectively stop Boo with a spectacular Spirit Bomb. It might be a messy ending, but it's still satisfying.
And it's important to note that these quirks in the writing were never new to Dragon Ball. The Boo Saga may just be the worst offender of the original manga. Toriyama's always flown by the seat of his pants. Sometimes they just accidentally slide off, which, if you think about it, is incredibly Toriyama.
Yeah.
We've been hard on this saga in the past, perhaps unfairly so, and we hope that our criticism here isn't a meaningless echo.
Just
We wanna
imagine they did
communicate
Dragon
our
Ball Z
issues with it
Abridged
the
for
best we
Boo.
can,
Like, they did
while also
one last
singing its
hurrah.
deserved praises. Boo isn't bad. It's just complicated.
What about the ending?
Oh, right, that's a thing.
Kind of easy to forget
don't know
it's
what the
literally
ending
the
is.
ending of the original manga, isn't it? Well, with both GT
Oh,
and
okay.
Super existing.
While we can all agree that the team effort culminating in the Genkidama against Kid Buu is a remarkable finale, up there with the best of them, Goku leaving with Oob is disarmingly abrupt.
Who?
Even though it is hinted at beforehand, and some folks found it unsatisfying as a proper ending to such a long story.
True, but there's an argument to be
Who is
made that it's
that?
also in line with the nature of the series. Goku sees potential in this boy so much like Roshi did with him, and so he takes him under his wing, and even bestows
Oh,
him
you have
with
potential, I'm
Kintu.
stealing you now.
Toriyama likely didn't want to give a definitive ending because his story was all about adventure and how the adventure never ends.
And one could say that GT's ending is unearned and overindulgent, but they both have their fans. Although, if we're already comparing, I'd argue that the end of the manga gives us a better version of Pawn than GT ever did.
But we gotta end this one on a high note.
Crap.
What
What about the
That
Can't think of one.
scene where Boo is squeezing toothpaste onto his toothbrush, but it looks like poop. 8.
What?
Alright, I'm psyched!
King
Classic Dragon Ball
Piccolo.
has some of
Okay,
my
so
favorite
this is-
art
yeah,
style
this
of
is
the
classic.
franchise. And I could really
Which,
use
of course,
some
I've never seen.
positivity after those bottom 4.
Agreed. And luckily, we're through the worst of it. From here on out, there should be way less negativity.
I think this is the worst arc of the original manga.
So Mark's coming in here with the hot takes.
I'm sorry, I know this list is a
See,
celebration
Ireland's
of
not a real
Dragon Ball,
country.
but if you watch my review of the King Piccolo saga over on my channel, Totally Not Mark,
Shameless, but hustle, respect,
Yeah.
hustle.
I
Lo-
talked
lots of
at length
plugs,
about how
lots
this
of
arc
plugs.
is so
Love
rife
that.
with plot contrivances and ass pulls so blatant and galling, they put almost every other arc from the original manga to shame.
Truth is, I know what you're talking about. The King Piccolo saga, in a lot of ways, is a prototype for the rest of the series.
Looks a
Introducing
lot like
an overwhelming
Kami.
force of evil, Goku will have to struggle with the death of his allies and brutal combat,
Oh, Chaozu.
overcoming his own failures and weaknesses in order to grow strong enough to win the day. Rinse and repeat.
By going
But in being
through
the first
his
to
chest.
follow this simple yet brilliantly reliable structure, it has some wrinkles that would be ironed out in sagas to come.
But you know what? Let's compliment Sandwich this sumbitch. King Piccolo is a boss, and I mean that in every sense of the word, too. Until he gathers the Dragon Balls, he spends his time ordering around his musically inspired minions to do his bidding.
Oh, they're named after
Conducting
instruments,
an orchestra
yeah.
of death for the world's greatest martial artists.
An orchestra.
But when he finally has to step out onto the battlefield, he towers over the rest of the cast, especially Goku. And unlike the Red Ribbon Army, there's a real sense of menace and danger, especially as the arc itself starts with the death
Of Krillin.
Though fans of Dragon Ball would become accustomed to the death of heroes in sagas to come,
Nick
the
did the
shock
thing.
of such a loss capping off the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai was a masterstroke on the behalf of Toriyama. This one act of violence sends Goku on a rampage, unlike any we'd seen before, almost getting him killed. It's chilling and
Which
even
makes
a
him
little
strong
scary
to
to see
save.
our sweet little monkey boy so distraught and thirsty for blood. It was a perfect way to challenge Goku as a character instead of merely as a fighter.
And despite all his rage, he's no match for King Piccolo, who
Of
brutalizes
course
him,
not.
leaving him for dead before he kills Chaozu and Roshi, makes his wish on the Dragon Balls, and then
Wait.
blows up Shenron. It's brutal. It's devastating.
How
and
do you blow up
ratchets the
Shenron?
despair way more than any other arc before it. And afterwards, he just walks straight into the King of the World's home, says, "This is my house, bitch," and then proceeds to set every prisoner on the planet free and starts a goddamn purge. It's insane, and it
That's
really
actually
sets the
awesome.
stage for the climax to come.
It's very unlike
But
Dragon Ball,
the big issue
though.
with King Piccolo is that, as far as villains go, he's sort of textbook. For all the grief and guff we give the villain lineup of GT, King Piccolo's entire character
Doesn't he want to
is
be, like,
literally
immortal or
evil
forever
demon
young or
hell-bent on
something?
world domination. But if the biggest problems with this arc were its boilerplate villain, I'd be singing an entirely different tune. The real trouble starts with Toriyama's haphazard storytelling in this section. King Piccolo's introduction is rushed, poorly explained, and boring, having been released off-screen in a piece of throwaway dialogue by the Pilaf gang. And as you said, he almost kills Goku. But somehow his heart restarts
left
after
him.
King Piccolo has left with no proper explanation. After which, Yajirobe carries Goku up Korin Tower. A feat so unprecedented that it feels more like a joke. And finally, the water. The Super God Water, or
water.
Ultra Divine
It's
Water in
purple.
the dub, is maybe the biggest cop-out in all of Dragon Ball. We
Oh.
would go on to see multiple characters' hidden potential be brought out in a myriad of ways after this arc, but here, it's a
named an
huge
adult.
detriment to the story, as it acts as a shortcut for Goku to almost immediately spring back against King Piccolo after a devastating loss. And yeah, the water putting him through body-wrecking pain that could potentially kill him isn't nothing, but it's not nearly narratively satisfying. It wouldn't be
That's
quite as
some crazy
insulting
water.
either if they hadn't introduced the Super God Water, an arc after the Super Holy Water, or Sacred Water in the dub, which was in and of itself a
What?
fake out of this exact plot device. Toriyama subverted the trope only to play it seriously the next chance he got.
Yeah, the Choseisui and the
Super Holy Water and
Choshinsui?
Super God
You can't
Water.
make this shit up.
But like we said before, when this arc premiered in the manga, the huge shift in tone combined with an increase in stakes was massive and would influence Dragon Ball for years to come. These moments of struggle, loss,
Tien-Shan.
and building despair rocket us towards an
Tien-Shan, that's
incredible
it.
final battle, with
I
Goku
know his
showing
name's
up
Tien, but-
at the last minute to save the day. A staple in Dragon Ball from that point forward.
And truly, the fight is both effectively simple with its structure, yet
Goku
incredibly
still
satisfying
wins.
with its execution. Goku puts King Piccolo on the back foot, forcing him to leverage Tenshinhan's life in order to crumble Goku's resolve, disabling
Ow.
limb after limb until the poor boy only has one arm left. But that proves
Oh,
enough, and we're treated
which
as one
is
of the most
kind of like
iconic King
Gohan
gods in
versus
Dragon Ball.
Cell.
And
I didn't
impressively,
realize that was
Toriyama
actually kind
makes
of a
sure to
reference
take
of
King
each other.
Piccolo's defeat as an opportunity to set up for the next arc, spitting up an egg and sending it off into the distance, entrusting his unborn clone son reincarnation with his
Yeah.
ambitions and his revenge.
There's the Piccolo that we
It definitely
know.
helps to make this saga and the next to feel like a set, and leaves the viewer hyped for what's to come next.
He looks like Dinde.
Side note, did you all know that Toriyama essentially introduced Yajirobe so Mayumi Tanaka, voice actress for Krillin and Luffy in One Piece, would have a character to play in the anime while Krillin was dead? Goku even points out that they
that's
sound
really
similar
cool.
in the manga and the Japanese audio. And
They
on that
sound
side
similar.
note, I love Yajirobe in this arc. From his introduction to his gags, he feels right at home in the series, and it's nice to see that he doesn't overstay as well.
He had a very small
Honestly,
part
I think
in
you're both
Dragon Ball
totally
Z
valid
Bridge.
and on point with your reading of the material. We just happen to differ in how much certain aspects of the story affect our individual enjoyment. I do have a question for the both of you, though. Do you guys consider the meeting with Kami and Popo to be part of this arc or the next?
Actually, one of my favorite Dragon Ball YouTubers, Mr. Fusion, made a fantastic argument that it belongs in this saga. Specifically because Krillin dies at the beginning, so it would only make sense that Krillin's revival would finish it,
Is the end of
effectively
it.
bookending it.
This introduction comes with some
Meh.
fascinating lore and a great
I agree with
fulfilling
that.
training arc for Goku that does manage to take away some of the sting of the Super God Water. And though it definitely feels a tad convenient, what with Kami being able to create a new set of Dragon Balls to undo
And
the
the
slew
Shenron.
of deaths that gave the story its weight, this meeting with Kami feels like a natural next step for Goku in his journey, and
That's
for the
not
story as a
evil.
whole.
I can't help but point out the hilarity that someone can ask, remember that time Goku met God? And you can just respond, which one?
It's also a little
Yeah.
funny that Battle of Gods makes
And
such a
fought
big
a
deal
god.
out of godhood, considering Toriyama keeps whipping out a new deity every time the last one gets dunked on by Goku.
It's like infinite regress, only with gods.
Well, you know what they say. It's turtle
fair.
hermits all the way down.
7.
Total what?
You're really not just gonna use World Martial Arts
22nd
Tournament, huh?
Tenkan-Hachi
Nope.
Budokai?
I've decided I've
Okay.
been too easy on you dub-only watchers. Besides, y'all already know how to say Tenkaichi Budokai, even if you have been saying it the wrong way around.
Could be worse. He could have used #1 Under Heaven Martial Arts Gathering.
Guys are being pretentious.
Faithful.
Pretentious aside, the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament is technically the third tournament in the series after the
So this is when he and
21st
Tien-
Fortune Teller
what is that
Sagas,
guy doing?
respectively.
Oh!
Toriyama had his work cut out for him to make this one stand out.
what's with the
and he
nudity?
does so in an interesting way.
While Goku maintains
Why
his
is this
role
so
as the main
lewd?
character, the story doesn't so much center around his development, but rather around Kame Sennin, with this being the last fight we'd see the old turtle hermit take part in the original manga, and Ten Shinhan, student of an opposing school and a troubled, struggling soul.
I
Where
love
did he
when
get the third
Toriyama
eye, though,
explores the
bro?
internal struggles of his characters.
that's
Between
the
his
assassin
sublime
dude.
expression work, his penchant for building drama, and Dragon Ball's fascinating world full of possibilities, it's a shame we don't see as much moral complexity in the rest of his work as we do here, because Ten Shinhan's journey through this arc is something special. It also provides a fantastic avenue for Roshi to finally pass the torch to his beloved students and emphasizes the strengths of his teachings by using Ten Shinhan and the Crane School as a comparison.
Much like with the
Yeah,
previous
yeah.
tournament, the qualifying rounds are a pretty light affair. It serves to establish our character
Oh,
roster
God,
and
that
gives us
dude
a
needs
peek
a
at the
bigger
advancements
thumb.
our established cast made in the time skip after the previous arc. It also gives us a peek into the characters of Ten Shinhan and Chaozu, who manipulate the numbers of the drawing process so the matches can play out how they see fit. And then, our three-eyed antagonist lets us all know just how vicious he can be.
They break it? Ow?
Dragon Ball is
What,
known
is
for
this
some
feel like
brutal
some
moments,
Karate
but
Kid
there's
thing?
something so unsettling
Like sweep
about
the leg
Ten
kinda
Shinhan
deal?
breaking Yamcha's leg, largely
Oh,
because
it's
it's
Yamcha,
so
so that's fine.
unnecessary. I mean, he didn't have to go that far. Yamcha had already all but lost the match. But this wasn't about beating Yamcha. It was about sending a message. The Ten Shinhan
Yeah,
is
like,
not to be
should
taken
not do
lightly,
that.
and he has every intent on proving his superiority, even if it means ruining Kame Sennin's pupils.
It's hard to believe that after this devastating match, we jump
Not even
immediately
fighting.
into a gag match with Roshi versus a reverse werewolf. It admittedly
Well,
feels
I've-
a bit like filler, but the punchline is pretty
So, a
fantastic,
wolf that
and
turns
it
into a
provides some
human?
levity leading into Chaozu versus Krillin, which actually rides the line of being a gag match itself. While the tricks and techniques Chaozu uses to put Krillin on the ropes are both quirky and dangerous, the climax of it is an honest laugh.
I didn't even
there
know
aren't many
Chaozu
matches
could, like,
like this
actually
in Dragon Ball,
fight.
and I think there's a lot to appreciate in terms of creativity on every level.
There's also a palm put. But it's the next
Looks like a
and
Pokemon.
last three matches that matter most, starting off with Roshi versus Ten Shinhan. Whereas in the last tournament, Roshi's primary goal was to
Does
keep
Roshi,
Goku
like,
humble
give
and
up?
hungry, here he's looking to
Or
change
does
the
he actually
heart of a
lose?
talented young man traveling down a dark path. He breaks out all the stops, and even when Ten Shinhan threatens the lives of him and the audience with a surprise Kamehameha, he still pushes through. He wants to drive home that the Turtle School won't be so easily demolished
The Turtle
before
School,
leaping
what a
off the
name.
stage, knowing that it's not
Yeah,
his
he gave
place
up,
to
yep.
defeat Ten Shinhan.
But before
And
that
then it's
fateful match can
Goku's.
happen, we finally get Goku versus Krillin. Sort of surprising that it took so long before we finally got a real fight between these two. And
I guess they
damn, is
sparred
he
a lot, so.
Fantastic, highlighting all of Toriyama's strengths.
How in the
Even
world did
Japanese version of
Krillin
the
just
anime, it's accompanied
inflate?
by Mesase Tenkaichi, one of my favorite insert songs in the series. Even though we all know that Goku was never going to lose this match, it's still exciting,
That would be insulting
satisfying,
if he did.
and even touching to see these two rivals finally go toe-to-toe.
Rivals
These are
or
two
friends?
having fun,
Yeah.
going all out, putting all their hard work to the test.
And while their match is happening,
Roshi
Roshi
must have been so
confronts
proud.
Ten Shinhan one last time. He makes the point that Ten just isn't the kind of killer he longs to be. That deep down there is an ember of goodness burning bright enough to make him doubt the ambition of his master
that
and
cliche,
his
but they
own
probably did it
misguided
first.
aspirations. This moment
that's kind of a
marks the
cliche
turning
now.
point for his character, who has sworn to end Goku for what he did to Tao Pai Pai.
Using Mercenary Tao to fuel the Crane School's fervor
Mercenary
is a
Tao, that's his name.
fantastic pull on Toriyama's part. It ties Goku directly into the conflict instead of it merely being a matter of opposing schools. It's personal for Tien, who's idolized the assassin. When they step into the ring, he doesn't give
I don't know if that's
Goku
who you
an
wanna
inch.
idolize.
We actually talked in
Yes,
depth
he is pretending
about
to be
this
like a
fight
killer.
in our top 12 fights, where it ranked number 9 in the entire series. It's a doozy, and over the course of the match, Tien Shinhan is
was
forced
that
to
the
not only
Kikyo
confront
or whatever it
Goku,
is?
but his friend, his master, and himself.
It blindsided a lot of people when Goku ultimately lost this match. After his loss at the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, it seemed like a sure bet that Goku would firmly grasp the W this
yeah.
time. However,
He hit the
Goku's
car,
first
yeah.
touch outside the ring, and Ten Shinhan goes home the victor. And honestly,
Basically like
this
technicality.
subversion is superb. Because the real victory here was pulling Ten Shinhan away from the dark side. And it's the perfect setup for the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, where Goku's third try would ultimately be the charm.
Spoilers?
What was the first
Dragon
try?
Ball?
I don't know. You guys always made it a running joke, so I just wanted to do one.
Funny enough, it seems like we haven't had much bad
For
to say
me.
about this arc. So why is it so far down on the list?
I think it comes down to scale. This is the shortest arc in all of Dragon Ball by chapters, and the entirety of it plays
Okay.
out as a tournament, meaning there's little variation in environment and the scope of the story is limited. Which isn't necessarily bad. This arc is
And
a
it's
very
kinda
personal
predictable, I
affair
guess?
with amazing fights and effective melodrama, but many of Dragon Ball's best sagas have higher stakes and a grander scale, which also aren't inherently
I
positive
can
qualities either,
hear
mind you.
that sound.
Personally,
like,
I'm a
that
fan of
scene, I
shorter,
can
more
hear it.
focused stories with no wasted motions. The Buu Saga and Tournament of Power are great examples of bloat, with pacing issues aplenty.
But it's hard to ignore how Toriyama would go on to write further compelling
Demon
epic
art.
narratives with pathos and prophecy, and more variation and complexity, even in other tournaments.
Yeah, like the Universe 6 tournament.
That's
No,
Winnie the
he
Pooh.
obviously meant the Otherworld tournament.
Actually, he probably means the 28th Tenkaichi Budokai.
Wait! The Toy-San Tournament of Champions.
That thing had a name?
That was its
What?
name?
That what? I don't even know what that was. What were they referencing there? Why were they freaking out about that? Why was that was that live action Dragon Ball? That's not Dragon Ball Evolution, the dumpster fire of a movie that was? Oh god. But yeah, somebody told me that. I think it was the Tournament of God started. I think they said it started in March and went all the way until February, when it actually released. It went on for an entire year. When I was talking about binge watching just because apparently it's such a good binge watch to do. And I don't think I can react to Dragon Ball because Toei Animation and they just don't like YouTube. Well, I mean, it's also the laws. You can, if you know Totally Not Mark's situation where he got his 1,500 videos got copyright takedown notice, but then YouTube actually stepped in and fought for Mark. So that was really cool. Now his videos are just blocked in Japan, which is a great compromise. Yes, please make that a thing. I would love for that to be a thing, a precedent that is set. I really hope that's how things go in the future. I think as time goes, I have a feeling fair use and copyright laws and stuff like that will get better, as you see so many YouTube channels now are basically reaction channels and whatnot. I mean, not Team 4-Star, they're not reaction channel, but you look at PewDiePie, Mr. Beast, the Sidemen, they all have reaction channels. That's just where YouTube is heading right now. But I really enjoyed this video. I hope you did too. I look forward to reading all of your comments. Definitely stay tuned for Dragon Ball Z Abridged with Kirby. You can check out my reaction to Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Just a playlist on my channel. You can binge watch that as well. But I hope you have a great, wonderful rest of the day. But until the next video, take care and cue the music.